Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Damoon here, instructor at the 47 BJJ Co-op. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be taking the next step in reviewing some of my old competition footage, see what I can learn, see what you guys can learn from my mistakes. It's interesting watching myself as a white belt again, and how I remember matches are a little different than what actually happened. This match coming up is going to be the final match in my first no-gi tournament. I think it was a 12 or 16 man bracket, and I might have had a bye in the first round, and this was the final match for the first place. If I recall, this was my toughest match. I don't remember being in any trouble, but I think this opponent was the hardest to finish. We'll see what happens. Again, just going through, seeing what I was like as a white belt, what I can learn, and if you guys are still early on in your jiu-jitsu journey, maybe some of that feedback can help with some of the mistakes you guys are making or some of the decision making that goes into the roles. So let's take a look here and let's get it started. Awesome. Now, I would just want you guys to notice on the right side of the screen, and I'm immediately going to start using my annotations because it's so much fun. Over here, there was a mat there prior to this match, and they had already started rolling up the mats because we were the white belts and it's no-gi, and this is like the final matches of the evening. And basically they were cleaning up and they were just waiting for us to finish because everything else had gone so late. That's how much respect you get as a white belt. Keep that in mind. Let's keep it going. Nice. You can see me slowly trying to be patient, probably being a little too passive here. My opponent is being pretty proactive in hand fighting and trying to get an inside space, which is great. He's got a really strong collar tie. And you're going to see me come in with the... we talked about this in my last match. You can see it right here, where whenever he gets a strong collar tie on my neck, rather than trying to match it, a lot of times I bring my same side arm and I get heavy on his collar tie, and it negates some of the pressure he can put on me. But you can see I am forced to lean forward. So my posture here, you can see my back leg here, there's an angle. And that means my weight is leaning into my opponent. That means that he's heavy. He's the one who's winning these exchanges right now. He's putting the pressure on me and forcing me to fix my posture, to resist. He's trying to get over my head for a guillotine or a snap down. I defend the hand fight. You see it again, just to right here. He comes in with a heavy tie, and I just use my arm there on top of his arm to kind of negate some of that pressure. I also use it to set up my my drop throw, my suicide arm throw. Don't know if I'll go for it here, but that's kind of what I look for. And because the grip fighting is kind of going back and forth, he wasn't able to find space to get to my legs. So we're both doing a pretty good job here, at least as white belts, in keeping our frames, keeping our arms between us, and trying to win some kind of upper body exchange. He's doing a much better job of dropping his level. You can see him standing tall, just looking for the underhook to grab and hug. He's defending really well by keeping his hips back.
Sorry.
All right. Let's just take a look at that sequence real briefly. Maybe gone too far. So we can see here, same thing. I have my inside tie. He's going for my head. And he's going to drop his level to go for my legs here. And you can see, because I was already ready on the inside, first of all, I mean, he's still kind of high. This knee should be coming to the floor in order to close the space between the hips here. But because I have this inside, it's very difficult for him to close the space. And because I can maintain the distance, it allows me to maintain my posture, and then you're going to see me recover and attack his neck. There you go. My arm slipped from the inside, and now we're going over the neck right there. And now I can get heavy on him, and I just bring him down to his knees with a 2-on-1. I'm immediately attacking the ankle. Probably going to try to spin around. I don't love this position. So again, these are like things I've been nitpicking about myself. Great snap down, but let's look at the posture right now. I am kind of square on my knees. There's no weight on him really because I'm transferring all the weight back to my knees here, which takes the pressure and the weight off him. Also, my legs are really close. If you can see where his hand is right now, he can grab me pretty easily. My hips should be further back, my legs back here. That way they're out of reach. And I can shift my weight forward for him to carry.
There you go.
So right now, by being on my knees, I'm only making it easier for him. I did a better job here of making that space in between us. You can see I've created a little bit of space, making it harder. I've also started controlling his inside arm. If you guys play a strong no-gi game, there's darce and head and arm chokes set up from here. But right now, I'm probably just thinking about circling around the back to the right side, and keeping that arm across his body is going to prevent him from stopping me from going to his back. There you go. I'm starting to move that way. I grab the ankle. I shuffle around. He goes to his back, but I maintain the grip. Kind of acts almost like a gift wrap here. And I'm using it to try to mount. He catches one hook. I go to mount. So pretty good exchange. He tried to recover guard by going to his back, but my upper body grip prevented him from turning the way he wanted to. Again, I think we did this in prior matches as well. I'm really aggressively going for that gift wrap. Nice bridge. I'm really high on his body right now, and he gets the turn. Let's just take a look at that real briefly of what went wrong here. He's done a good job of turning his hips, and I am high. This isn't necessarily wrong, but it means that I need to change my attack. If I'm going to play a high mount, I give up control of the hips. In some ways, that's okay, because if he was to bridge, the bridge isn't going to affect me as much. But I also can't prevent his hips from turning as sharply as they have here. His hips are totally to the side, which is going to create like a lot of like torsion to get him to be able to roll to his knees. What I should be doing ideally is either moving up higher or shifting my weight to this side to prevent the roll. Ideally, what I should be doing, I think, is lifting my back leg and sliding it up and bringing this leg up here and stepping on my foot to going to kind of like a back take chair sit position where I'd be sitting on my right hip. This would come to the floor and this knee would come up here. And that would mitigate any of the rotation that my opponent could create towards the screen. But as you see, he just creates the rotation one more time. He's able to get to his knees, and because I'm so connected to him, I roll with him, and I'm forced to assume a closed guard. Went from a pretty dominant top position to an okay defensive bottom position. Not totally defensive. Getting heavy on the head. He's trying to get up without freeing his posture. I don't really love this from my opponent. There you go. That's much better. He's using his frames now. He's regaining his posture. Now he's in a much better position to open my guard. Playing a little dangerously with that inside arm, but I'm not able to take advantage. I'm just trying to break the posture. Just want you to notice right now my opponent's head. This is a bad habit. I think we all do this. Is his eyes right now are looking down. It's really making your job much more difficult. Trying to get out of the closed guard. You want to regain posture. So what I mean by regain posture is right now his back is kind of parallel to the floor. And what we want to see is the back up here, the head up here, and the eyeballs looking up as well. I know, beautiful drawings. When the eyes and head are able to look up, it's much easier to bring the hips forward, to bring the shoulders up, to regain that posture that we're looking for. Right now, with the head control I have, he's forced to look down. And you're going to see him constantly lift his hips. But it's really difficult to get out when his head's not following him. So just a simple, grip fight over here, removing my hand with his hand, and looking up, bringing the head up, and then regaining the posture would go a long way in giving him success in opening the guard. His hand's already there fighting, but you see he gets his hips up high, but his posture is broken so aggressively, it's very easy for my hips to follow his. And I think we're just getting a reset here because we were too close to the edge of the mat. Like, even when he assumes the position to reset, he started by breaking his own posture. I mean, he's being a fair sport. He wants to start over, but this would be a good place if I was his coach. I don't like coaching during matches. The way I competed, I didn't have anyone yelling instructions for most of my matches, and that's what I passed down to my students as well, for better or for worse. But or if we were like looking at footage after the fact, I'd be saying, hey man, look up, regain the posture. Don't accept that down position. Again, he's trying to stand up, head down. Makes it very easy for me to move my hips. Makes it very difficult for him to prevent me from cutting an angle, which I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to shove the arm inside, probably to bring my right leg over the shoulder for a triangle. And with that leg, with that inside leg, I have sweeping options. So at this point, I think he's just a little desperate to get out. I think being in side control, especially in a competition where you feel like you need to be doing something, being in closed guard, can be very frustrating. And yeah, he's not cutting an angle. He's not opening his posture. I'm using a lot of my upper body to keep him in the closed guard. There we go. Now he's getting his posture back. But he's still standing up a little too soon.
Bump.
And we're able to bring him back down. Let's just take a look at that, just so you guys understand a little bit better about what we're talking about here. If I just poke it back one drop of a second, that's a better time. Right now his posture is broken. Because his posture is down, his hips are getting pushed back. When his hips are pushed back, it gives me all this inside space over here for my hips to work, which means that I can drop my hips under his legs, I can swivel side to side, I can bring my hips up to his upper body, I can bring my hips low to his legs. There's nothing preventing my hips from moving, from cutting angles, from swiveling, from following. If his posture, he had his posture a moment ago. Let me see if I can find it. I think that's probably the best we're going to get here. When his posture starts coming up, his head, he should be removing this grip, which is preventing, you can see here actually it in action, where my hand on his head is preventing him from pulling his shoulders back. But he's fighting for it here. Again, instead of pushing off my chest. He should just be removing this hand from my head. Grip fighting is one of the simple things we forget about in the moment, that we don't need a better lever to overcome the pressure that people are putting on us. We can just always remove their grip. But as you see here, just to stay on the topic of the posture, now his hips can come forward. As the shoulder goes up, the hips have room to come forward. And as his hips come forward, now you can see my hips are locked. It's very difficult for me to go under him. It's very difficult for me to go side to side because his thighs against the back of my thighs, like right here, prevent me from making a lot of movements. And as if he was to stand up with that posture, his hips would continue to come forward and they would block my hips even more. So whenever we're trying to get out of the closed guard, especially when we're trying to get out of the closed guard by standing, it's really important to have that posture fixed. There are some ways we open the closed guard by breaking our own posture, but you got to keep in mind why those work. Again here, my hips, I'm able to drop my hips to get under him. I'm scooping the inside of the leg. I can off balance. He doesn't like it. He keeps coming back down. But he is doing a better job of recognizing that he needs to open his posture here. I'm shoving his arm in to set up for a triangle. When I keep that arm inside, there's nothing preventing my leg from coming up. He's fighting back. Now he's got his posture. Now you're seeing I'm fighting to pull him back down with a wrist grip. He should be dropping his hips, bringing his head up. I'm just trying to maintain the connection. I'm just not letting him reposture. This isn't the best way for me to force him, but at least I got something going. All right, this is a great place to stop. So I'm forcing the triangle here. Let's talk about this triangle. Both of us are being white belts here. The reason why I'm calling this force in the triangle, there's a few things. First of all, his arm is obviously still in the way. I need to clear that arm. I can capture the shoulder, but because of the way his arm is by his neck, it's very easy for him to flare his elbow here, which will affect his shoulder, which will make it difficult for me to get a bite on the neck. The other problem here is because my hips are so stacked here, following through with my leg. So what I mean by that is right now my leg is this far. In order for the triangle to work, my leg will have to come through and around and lock up over here, let's say. But I have no hip to follow because my hips are smashed right now. So I'm keeping his posture broken, which is where his mistake is. He's giving me his posture. There's nothing really preventing him from dropping his hips here and moving his head back. So this way. And that would make the triangle much further for me. So I'd need even more leg to lock the triangle, so to speak, which I don't have because my hips are locked. But because he's focused so much, you can actually even see right here, probably assume what's going on in his mind. He's like putting his forearm in my throat, and I'm not criticizing that. In a competition setting, you do want your opponent to eat some pressure, like it's fair game if I don't have an answer for it. But what I'm saying is, in order for him to put that forearm pressure, he needs to bring his weight this way. But that's breaking his own posture, which is allowing me the space to wrap my legs around his head. If you would abandon that forearm on the throat, he could easily posture up this way, and the triangle would, even if I was still had my ankles crossed, there wouldn't be any danger. Let's see how it plays out. I'm able to wrap. All right, and then he lifts. So two things. I don't care what the rule set is in a competition. As a practitioner, if you're getting lifted off the ground, it's on you to defend yourself. Meaning you can't trust that the other person is going to play by the rules. So what I'm doing to mitigate that, which is okay, from here I am off the ground, but it's not like I'm, above the knees. If he slammed me, it wouldn't be too bad here. And on the opposite side of the body, right here, I'm using my left arm to underhook his leg, like I'm hugging his leg, which helps me cut the angle, and it makes it much more difficult for him to lift me as well. Just on the note of what we discussed just a second ago, you see that the triangle right now, I'm crossing my ankle by my ankle or my calf. Like, this is a really loose triangle. He could probably, if he just pushed his hips forward, he could probably pop his head out and get out of the triangle pretty effortlessly. I don't feel like I have much here. There you go. You think he feels it? There you go. That's it. I had a poor bite. He could have done it much easier by bringing his hips forward. He used his arms, but there was too much space there. He got me off, and immediately he gets on top. Man, this is bad. He goes for something. I break out. Look, in this moment, he's got my back, but he had this idea in his mind of a head and arm or a, snap down or something. He should be tackling me from behind right now. I don't know if it's like an etiquette thing we have in our mind, or if there's just like these moments where we organically put pauses for no reason. But if we're playing for keeps, if it's a competition, this is a moment he should be tackling me, not giving me a second to reset. And we're back to our grip fighting. Push and pull. If you guys recall the last match, I was shoving my opponent out the middle. He's doing a much better job of grip fighting and maintaining his posture and not letting me push him around the mat. I feel like we're much more equal on the feet here. He's starting to look a little tired. All right. Let's just take a look at that sequence real briefly. Same thing. This time, I actually match his collar tie, and I'm using my inside arm here I'm going to use it to open, to do a duck under to get to his back. I push his arm across, and what he's going to do, I think, is going to reflexively open his elbow right there. So that's the response we wanted. I pushed his arm down, and then when he regained his posture, he brought his arm back up, made it light. I came underneath, and now I'm pushing it up. That's going to give me the space to duck my head under and start attacking the back. There we go. I have his arm trapped. Get one hook in. And I'm trying to connect for a harness. Trying to get the second leg in. So this is an interesting thing that happens. I think this happens quite a bit in jiu-jitsu, not just at lower levels. I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. This is probably like 6 minutes into the match right now. We're both a little tired. I think he's more tired than I am. And when we're tired, it's not just physically tired. We rely more on muscle memory, rely more on reflexes, and we don't do the math as much in our head to see the big picture. So right now I do have my hook in, but the whole time that I was putting my hook in, he's constantly trying to rotate belly down, like as if he was still on his knees or still standing in order to rotate away from me. There is an escape there, But it's a little problematic because if I have a strong connection, if he starts turning that way, I can put him belly down, which is a horrible position to be in jiu-jitsu. Rather, what I would have liked to see, especially because he's got a good hand fight going here, I would have liked to see him rotate his hips towards the ceiling. There's a lot of space between our heads here, so I feel like this grip right here is actually quite weak. And I feel like he could have gotten away with putting me in a half guard and prevented me from getting into mount. But I think he just felt me taking the back, and because the sequence started on the legs, he's kind of like stuck in that fight, and he just went with it. So I cinch up.
Good.
Slowly, I'm pulling him back towards me. Now our heads are right next to each other. Now you see I have a much stronger connection here. He is doing a good job, like we were talking about. He has a good grip to break my connection, but I've closed the space. Just a note here, ankles are crossed. Don't do that. If you would have stepped over, I think actually in this tournament, all leg locks were illegal for white belts. So if you would have stepped over my crossed ankles, he could put an ankle lock on me with his legs, but I think it's illegal here. But even without that, when my ankles are crossed, it allows his hips to move freely. So for him to create a very strong rotational movement, it'd be very difficult for me to prevent. So what he should be doing is turning towards me hard. I bring him over to the other side. I lock the body triangle.
Nice.
This is a tough spot. Here's a quick note why I don't use the body triangle very often anymore. I want you guys to notice his head right now is about here. Top of my head is about here. Realistically, these two should be much closer. With that angle, I can get the rear naked choke around his neck, but it's a sharp angle, like I'm too high in a sense. Like instead of coming across, what I'd like to do is come across here for the choke, but from this angle I have to come across here and loop around for the choke, which makes it easier for him to tuck his chin and makes it easier for him to get a good angle to defend. But because I have the body triangle locked in, this hip position and this hip position are stuck. There's no ability for me to move in this axis. When you have hooks in, so if this wasn't crossed, I would be able to bring my hips closer to his and I would have a better angle for the choke here. Just a reason why I don't I'll use the body triangle maybe momentarily to get someone to calm down when I take the back, but for the most part, I try to stay away from it when I'm attacking. Just for that reason. It's too the angle, the distance between the hips can be off and it's more specific. He's doing a really good job of hand fighting. I switch my choking arm here. I'm kind of cranking on his jaw, but let's just take a look at that right here. This is something I still use and still teach to today. When I'm choking and the hands come up to defend and he's doing a great job of defending. Notice right now I don't have an underhook, which one of the benefits of the body triangle is I can get away without an underhook for a moment. If I had the hooks, it'd be much easier for him to escape. But because he's bringing both hands to defend against my choking hand, which is not incorrect, he should be doing that, I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to shove his hand down and open my triangle. So see, there's the shove. And I'm going to step over his foot and trap that arm. And that's going to put him in a really bad spot because now I'm going to have two hands to choke and he's got only one hand to defend. And look, I'm already switching the choking hand to try to find a spot that's under his chin. My angle is horrible here. Look how much space there is between my bicep and his neck. This is a horrible angle. And I'm forced into it because of my leg position. But again, it's competition. White belts, we're just forcing things. we'll see how it works out.
Good control.
I'm just trying to crank my forearm under his chin.
breath.
He drops his hand. There it is right there. He's dropping his hand here to help with the other hand. I don't know if that's the play here, but just by sheer force, I wedge my forearm under his throat. Now it's over. This is a horrible, horrible angle for the choke. My elbow here should be under his chin right here. My head should be over his shoulder over here. But again, with enough force, even with a nasty technique, we can make things work. And I think he felt that. We get the tap. That's a wrap. I was able to take first in this tournament. It was sub only. There were no points. Really interesting. I was not hitting rear naked chokes in training. I recall before this tournament, I was having a lot of difficulty even when we would drill rear naked chokes. I remember like one of the first times I was drilling a rear naked choke, I wasn't able to finish it on a non-resisting partner, which is weird because I had a pretty good upper body strength because I was rock climbing at the time for my size. But I think we switched to the short choke over here, just kind of yanked the forearm into the throat. We got the finish. A lot of it was just a lot of pressure from my part, and looked like a lot of insistence on head control. I think that worked out a lot for me. The opponent did a great job. I think his only mistake was really not clearing the head control to posture out when he was in close guard. There's a couple smaller things when he was defending, but the sequences were pretty good. So anyway, that was it for my first no-gi tournament. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments. If you'd like me to take a look at your matches, give me a heads up. You can also check us out at the 47 BJJ Co-op on Instagram. Hope you guys all have a great week. Thanks for checking us out.